Shrek 2 is an amazing movie, right? We're all in agreement? If you disagree, please leave. Now, Shrek is obviously a franchise, and with a franchise from the early 2000s comes an obscene amount of video games made for all the movies. Starting in 2001 with the release of the first Shrek film, we started to see tons of games on consoles, handhelds, phones, computers, you name it. I'm sure they would probably put Flash games inside the Shrek DVDs if they could. Holy shit. Even though I'm sure it would be such a fun time to go through and play every single Shrek game, I have something else in mind. Today, we will be playing every single Shrek video game related to Shrek 2, just in time for its 20th anniversary on May 19th. Okay, now that doesn't sound so bad. What are there, like 4 or 5 games? No, 17. Also, yes, before we get into it, I know that those shitty LCD handheld games exist. I am not picking one of those up. Now let's get going before I lose my mind. Our first game is Shrek 2. Who would have thought? Now don't confuse this with the other 3 games of the same name. Shrek 2 was released for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and PC under the name Shrek 2 Team Action. Now the plot of the game does actually kind of closely follow the plot of the movie, which is weird because the game released 15 days before the movie, meaning anyone who just had to know what happens could find out in about 5 hours. Although sadly, Shrek and the gang don't do chores for the 3 pigs in the movie. I know, it's so sad. So the game follows most of the main story beats from the movie. Shrek and Fiona head off to Far, Far Away, the king hires Puss in Boots to kill Shrek, Shrek becomes a Giga Chad, gets arrested, and then beats the shit out of the fairy godmother. Now, while you go through the game, you get a bunch of characters to play as, 2 of which being Little Red Riding Hood and a fairy for some reason. The story is split up into 11 levels, each of which take around 25 to 30 minutes to complete. Now, are most of the levels filler? Yeah, but that's whatever. I never really disliked playing the game, and for these types of games, that's a big compliment. The puzzles that they gave you to do were also fun, although I would have loved to see what was actually going on in the last few levels. Shit was dark as hell. The controls were also kinda god-awful. I always felt like I was slipping and sliding around and you really had no control as to what you attacked when you pressed B. Speaking of Bs, that's exactly what I'm gonna give this. It's a harmless movie tie-in game. It's not the greatest, but it's also nothing bad either. Next up, we have another Shrek 2. This time, it's for the PC, but once again, it's completely different than the Shrek 2 from the PC. A few major differences include following the movie much closer, being in single player, and being about half the length of the console version. Now this game I actually have some history with. You see, when I was a wee lad about 3 years ago, I actually got the world record speedrun in this game. When we get to the actual game, this is more of a platformer than the last title, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more than the console version as well. Also, I forgot to mention in the last segment, but the jokes in these games are actually not that bad. You'd figure they'd be really corny, but it's actually about the same kind of jokes that you get in the movies. Combat was also a huge difference from console. The game focused more on jumping and punching, and does not have the powers that it did in the GameCube version. We do get some powers in the form of these potions that I never used. Alright, I'll be honest, there really isn't much more to talk about with this one. It's a pretty good platformer to be honest, and that's all I really care about. Also, you kill the fairy godmother by throwing food at her. B tier. Alright, our third game called Shrek 2, which is different from the other Shrek 2s. And this is the game that I'm the most familiar with. I've owned this little cartridge containing this game and Shark Tale for as long as I can remember. Don't worry, I also have the regular copy. You think I'm gonna choose to play on the same cartridge as the Will Smith fish? Yeah. Yes, I am. Now onto the game, and here we get probably the most accurate retelling of the movie in video game form. All main plot points are covered to the extent that a 2004 Game Boy Advance game would cover them. That being said, it does take its own spin on events in the film, i.e. Shrek beats up a bunch of civilians on I-94 on his way to Far, Far Away. I don't remember that in the movie. As you might have guessed by the footage, this is just a simple 2D platformer with a surprising amount of graphical detail for a Game Boy game. You play as Shrek, Donkey, Puss, and Gingy as they go through the events of the film in about 25 different linear Mario-type levels, where you get from point A to B by simple platforming, killing enemies, and puzzle solving. I really enjoy the first 2/3 of this, but everything falls off the rails once you get to the 4th set of levels. This section covers the prison part of the film, and you control Gingy the entire time in all 5 levels, and he, quite simply, is the worst controlling character in video game history. You cannot get this guy to go where he needs to go. His jumps are so huge and awkward to maneuver, you have no idea where you're actually going to land. Everything bad about the controls is brought out tenfold in one level, where you need to disable a bunch of searchlights so Shrek can escape prison. It's a platforming level mainly, and if you aren't amazingly accurate with every jump that you take, you are going to end up dead, and will have to restart the level. Now, okay, there's just one bad batch of levels, but no, the next set of 5 and the final levels of the game are just as worse. And that's completely due to the amount of enemies that can kill you in one hit, sending you back to the beginning of all 5 of these very long levels. I'll be honest though, I'm kind of over-exaggerating. It's not that bad. It's actually quite a fun game, but I can also see why 7-year-old me never got past the second set of levels. I'll give it a C tier. I definitely enjoyed it less than the last 2, but C tiers are nothing to be ashamed of either. Before we hop into this one, I might want to explain exactly what J2ME is. J2ME is a Java-based programming language used to make apps and video games for cell phones. Now, I'm talking older Nokia phones, not your iPhone 19 Pro Max 8000. So in short, this is a mobile game from 2004. Got it? On that note, this game is really weird. It's really short, just about 4 levels worth. In the first, you have to find 15 rubber ducks while avoiding Puss in Boots. This one took the most time for me to do because I had to figure out how to play. Since these were made for cell phones from 2004, you have to play with a numpad, which was simple enough for moving, but pressing 7 and 9 to jump took a little time. Other than the controls and the less than subpar graphics, this game is actually alright. It's a little fun time waster, except for the last level. The last level can suck my ass. You gotta avoid the fairy godmother and her lightning balls for 30 seconds, and 3 shots can and will drain your health bar, which they call a power bar for some reason. I found that you have to run in the exact same direction as the fairy godmother, and every 3 balls that she shoots, you have to turn around as she does, and you have a slight opening to turn around and do the same thing again and again. If you fuck up once in the 30 seconds, you'll probably die. Thank God when you lose all your lives you can just restart at the same level, or else I probably would have thrown my keyboard through my monitor. Now, like I said before, apart from the sorta aggravating final level, decent game, C tier. This is an interesting one. This game is a lot like our previous GBA game, but for the first set of 5 levels, it follows Puss in Boots before the events of Shrek 2. This is actually probably our first look at Puss's past before the actual Puss in Boots movie. After the first set of levels, we change between playing as Shrek, Puss, and Donkey in the events of Shrek 2, as they all begin to meet up towards the end of the 3rd set. The 4th and final set takes place after Shrek 2 and explores more of Puss's story after the film. I'm super thrilled that I can actually talk about the story of a game again, since the last 4 have all been about the same shit, which makes sense, don't get me wrong, but it's still an awesome feeling that we are getting new stuff now. Granted, 2/3 of the game is still Shrek 2, but the other stuff involving Puss was a treat to play. Again, this is a 2D platformer just like the last GBA game, but it's also shorter, having 5 less levels than the former. It also doesn't have as many puzzles, apart from searching the levels for keys to doors. Puss in Boots' character was easily my favorite to control in the last Game Boy game. But in this one, they kind of stripped away a lot of the cat-like platforming that was in Shrek 2. There's still a fair share, but it was a disappointment to see how many elements they removed. Adding on to that, I do believe that this game is weaker than the other one. Filling 2/3 of the game with basically recycled content is a little shitty. I felt that they definitely could have made this a push-only game, which is what I expected based on the cover art. I'm gonna give it a D tier. It wouldn't be right to put it in the same tier as the superior game, so call this a high D. You know what? Fuck it, make it a low C. I don't think it's D tier either. Sadly, this is our last Shrek 2 Game Boy game, but there is one more Shrek 2 Game Boy cartridge that I wanted to go over real quick. Now, Shrek 2 came out in 2004, and if you really wanted to watch the film, say, on a car drive or just at your house, and all you had was your sweet Zelda Game Boy Advance SP, there was a solution for you. Enter the Shrek 2 Game Boy Advance video cartridge. They put Shrek 2 on a GBA card, and it's not compressed at all. I mean, compare it to the 4K Blu-ray. See, if you squeeze your eyes hard enough, you can almost make out a color. Why the hell is the name for this game so goddamn long? Anyway, Shrek 2 Activity Center is a game of games in a sense. This is a collection of 7 mini-games that I don't think I would recommend to anyone over the age of 6. The 7 games are themed around 7 characters, although most of the pairing makes no sense at all. You have Puss in Boots' minigame, where he hides behind trees and when he peeks, you need to click him as fast as possible. That's pretty fitting, I'd say. Up next is Donkey, who is steering the carriage carrying Shrek and Fiona. Avoid obstacles for about 4 minutes and you're done. It's kind of like Hydro Hopper in Club Penguin, go-to game. I guess the Donkey minigame fits the character, but not really though. After that we have King Harold, where you have to match exactly what order he's eating all of his food at dinner. Look at this man, 3 grapes in a row? What a fiend. But the game matches up pretty well. Up next is Shrek's game, which is a hide-and-seek minigame where Shrek has to find his friends in correct order. But one of the characters who hides is also Shrek, so unless Shrek 5 introduces Shrek's twin brother or a clone, I ain't buying it. Fiona's game has you mixing smoothies. I really don't have anything to say about this one, you just select the ingredients you're told to select. The Three Pigs' game is another ripoff of Club Penguin. I can't believe Activision would travel to the future to steal from such a masterpiece. It's like the Bean Counters game. Grab the food and avoid the falling anvils and shit. Our last game is the Fairy Godmothers. For some reason, this bitch keeps turning Shrek different colors, and we have to mix potions to turn them back. And that's about everything, but there is something cool that you unlock after every minigame. After clicking on the magic mirror in the home menu, it'll take you to the print center, where you can print off screenshots from the film. That's cool, but what I actually found neat is that instead of unlocking more screenshots with Fiona and the Pigs minigame, you unlock recipes for smoothies and cookies. I just found that pretty neat. And with that, I have literally explained the entire game to you. Beat for beat, that's all that's in there. But it's not bad, don't get me wrong, but this game just seems more like something that would be free on the Shrek 2 website, and not a full-fledged PC game. Mid-C tier, it's decent. What in the ever-living hell is this? So as the name suggests, this is a bowling game with Shrek. Now, this was developed by Wild Tangent, who has made a very popular bowling game before taking the reins to make Shrek hit those strikes. That's right, Wild Tangent developed Polar Bowler. Slots. Now, if you've ever played Polar Bowler before, you might notice that this is just a complete reskin of Polar Bowler. But Polar Bowler and Ogre Bowler released on the same day, August 3rd, 2004. So will we ever know which came first? No. But it's funnier to make fun of Ogre Bowler for being such a complete reskin. Now to actually talk about the game. It kinda sucks, at least for me. The controls are really wonky, and for some reason they decided it would be a good idea to have Shrek be able to turn himself as he's going down the lane, which, if you didn't know, you can't do in bowling. Now you might think that this would make things easier to get strikes, but not really, because you can't see a damn thing in front of you when you're cruising down the lane. Now, do I hate this game? No, of course not. I just think it's fun to make fun of a cheap copy of a game that the publisher is still selling to this day on their website for $10 whole. 10 smackaroons. And assuming the price hasn't changed since 2004, $10 was worth $17 back then. So they wanted bank for a game that I wouldn't pay $2 for. Hence why I'm playing the demo version, as you can see on the home screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first D-tier game, because this game is not decent, it's just meh. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're on to what I'd like to call the Mobile Game Power Hour. We have about 4 mobile games left, and I want to get through these as quickly as possible, so let's go. Shrek 2 Adventure is our first game in the Power Hour, and right off the bat, it gives a great impression. It's all in German. At least I think that's German. Anyway, you play as Shrek and are tasked by Fiona to, I don't know, but there's a door to go through. Okay, I think we have to grab all these keys to get out of here. And that's really about it for the game. There's a bunch of levels with increasing difficulty and puzzles, but all you really do is grab keys. D tier. Alright, next. For our second game, I have even less to say about it. It's in German again, so I can't read anything about what I'm supposed to do, and I think the game is just broken, because whenever I tap the button to move forward, I fall right into a pit and die. D tier. I'm sure the game was fine when you speak German and it works properly. Next! Okay, finally, we're getting back into English with this one. Alright, let's see how it is. Are you fucking serious? I just want to play these stupid games, but they're either in German or they flat out just don't work. Or both! I tried 2 different emulators with this game, the only 2 that I could find online in fact, and both of these guys did the same thing. This is why I don't mess around with emulators much. F tier, we're moving on. Finally! Not German, and the game kinda works! Sorry about that. I got a little excited. This is just a simple trivia game released by DreamWorks with questions about the first 2 Shrek films. The questions are cut off the screen because emulators gotta be an emulator. The questions are really easy to answer if you own almost 100 copies of the movie, so I only got 1 wrong, but that's because I couldn't even read the whole question, so I'm giving myself a pass on that. And that's really all I have to say about this one. C tier. And here we end the Mobile Game Power Hour. I hated almost every second of that. And with that, we have only 6 games to go. And those remaining 6 are Flash games. Thank God for Flashpoint archiving all of these. Shrek 2 Magic Potion Maker is more of an activity than a game, I'd say. All that this is a platform to send customized emails to friends. I can't show you what the emails look like since they don't work anymore, and I really couldn't find any info about the game online, just a few things. This image on Wiki Shrek, which is just a screenshot from the Shrek 2 PC game, an article on Wiki Shrek, which says that the game involves turning Donkey into a horse, which I can assure you it does not, and this screenshot of the Flash game alive and well on the Skittles website, where it was hosted all the way back in 2004. Sadly, I wasn't able to find any screenshots of the virtual cards that this game would send you, but I'll go ahead and give it a D tier. I'm sure it was a nice little novelty back in the day, but now it's sad that it doesn't work. Alright, so this one's pretty simple. It's a goddamn sliding puzzle that was available on the Shrek 2 website. You have 3 pictures, 3 difficulties to choose from. Yippee. D tier. Okay, I got a bone to pick with this one. This is a Flash game where you get about 6 different stencil drawings for you to fill in the blanks with color. It's a simple concept. I went with this puss stencil at the start and created something of a modern masterpiece. But when I meant to make my second masterpiece, I noticed something. Shrek 2 Create in Color does not provide you with the necessary colors to paint their beloved characters, and it pisses me off! Take Puss in Boots as our example. This is how good I was able to get his color on the game. And here's a picture of him from the movie. We need orange to make Puss, goddammit. We need to boycott DreamWorks for making this filth of a Flash game 20 years ago. If they don't patch this game in the future with more colors, I'm gonna come down to California and give them a knuckle sandwich. I'm gonna write them a firm tweet. D tier. You ever play Memory? Well, then you've played Think Donkey Think and you didn't even know it. Now, I really don't think I have to explain what Memory is and how to play, but you flip up 2 cards, keep them in your memory, and then try to match up all the pairs in as little time as possible. Now, part of the game is trial and error, right? So why does this game have a little meter that fills up every time you fail a pair? At least this Flash game has the right colors for all of its characters, since it just takes screen grabs from the movie itself. And I'm really trying to stretch out how long I talk about this game, but it took me less than 3 minutes to actually complete it, so there can't really be much more to talk about, and there isn't. C tier. Dude, I'm so tired of DreamWorks stealing from Club Penguin, alright? This is just DJ 3K, but Shrek. You have 3 tracks to choose from, and you can add more instruments to the track and some sound effects. Here's the banger that I cooked up. Add me on SoundCloud, my name is Bull Shrek. The game's alright. I didn't really know what to expect from Flash games, but I could have used some more substance. Maybe they could have had 3 different burp sounds instead of 1. I was feeling kinda limited. I'll go D tier again. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Mostly the moment I've been waiting for. The final Shrek 2 game. What's with the burping in these games? Were they made for children? Don't answer that. Okay, for our final Shrek game, we have a contest between Shrek and Fiona on who can burp the longest, based on how fast you click Shrek's stomach. You fight a computer-controlled Fiona in your quest for a big burp. And here's how things went. Things started off strong for me. I scored a 5.6 because I forgot how to click the mouse fast. But Fiona only got a 4, so we won the round. On to round 2, I pulled a 7.2, while the computer-controlled Fiona over here scored perfect 10s across the board. That's a loss, but it's okay. It's best 2 out of 3. We can win again. Let's go! I scored a perfect 10! And so did Fiona. That's a little unfair. How are they gonna break the tie? Oh, they don't? They just let Fiona win for some reason? Yeah, right. Oh wait, that's actually what happened? What the hell? Why does she get to win? We tied. All these games are such bullshit. I'm so glad I'm done with this shit. Get me out of this hellhole. I want to play some Elden Ring. F. Watch Kairop as he takes on the 7 hardest games of all time for the first time as he prepares for Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree. Will he survive the gauntlet? Find out in I Played All 7 Soulsborne games for the first time. Coming soon to a shitty YouTube channel near you. Son of a bitch, the Shrek 2 DVD has games on it too. Alright, rapid fire. Okay, we have this interactive map of Far Far Away that plays a scene from the movie based on what location you pick. D tier. We have a Puss in Boots hide and seek. D tier again. A trivia game called Save Fiona or some shit. Didn't work right. D tier too. And last but not least, I don't know how the hell I forgot about this one, and anyone who has owned a Shrek 2 DVD in their life knows exactly what is gonna come right out of my mouth. It's Far Far Away Idol, an interactive short where the Shrek gang gets kidnapped by Simon Cowell and is forced to do a singing competition, and you get to pick the winner. But if you pick a stupid answer like Prince Charming, Simon in his massive ego will say that he's won, so he gets up on a table and starts singing My Way, which we all know that Jay Schlatt sung it better, so Simon gets an F tier, but Far Far Away Idol gets an S. This is a masterpiece. I'm gonna go now. Bye!